There's always the new person who comes in, and had you not given them a shot, you would have missed out, and they would have missed out. So you gotta kind of take it both ways. But I try to look at the the size of the opportunity, the market as a whole, what they're doing, and of course, there's always going to be a little feeling out as far as if they can do it or not. I tend to err on the side of giving them a chance, because you never know. Like I said, there could be that breakout, and worst case scenario is you have a term limit on your license agreement, right? So if they never do anything with it for 3 months or 6 months or a year, you can just say, hey, this didn't work out.
And welcome back to the Money, the Mindset, and the Mentoring podcast. Today, we are so happy to have James Foster here with us. He is of the Royalty Rockstars, and he's going to talk to us today a little bit about how to get your product into somebody else's ecosystem so that you can benefit from the inertia that they have and you don't have to build your own traffic. So, James, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Super appreciate being here.
So talk to me a little bit. I mean, a lot of people talk about affiliates, start setting up like a whole bunch of an army of people selling for them. And then, you start talking about the idea of the differences between an affiliate and licensing and all these different structures that you can have so that other people are getting your message out, not just yourself. So what's the difference in there? Talk to me.
Absolutely. So if we're talking affiliates versus licensing, I guess we should step back and even talk about why you would need a difference. And basically what's going to happen is you have your product, you have your course. If it's something you're actively selling now, then you're probably going to go affiliates, because you want to be in total control of the messaging, how much people are getting paid, of everything that's happening with your funnel, because that's your baby. That's what you're working on right now. Now, a lot of people, though, will have courses and other products that they've launched in the past that aren't really, they're just kind of sitting there, right? Those would probably be more of an option for licensing. And licensing, if you look back at like the root of the word, it means to give permission. So effectively, you're giving permission to other people to sell this product for you. So in this case, you're probably not going to be in a situation where you want to be in complete control of everything, right? You want to essentially say, here's the product, take it, market it. Here's some marketing materials. Here's how to do it. You handle 99% of the work and just pay me a royalty, like a rock star has on their music, right? They've created it once, and then they give it to the distribution, their producing company, their house, and then they take care of getting it out there to everyone and selling it for them. So like we were talking about, the Rockstar does the work once, and then the fulfillment companies go out and put it in the stores, on Amazon, on all those places, so they get sold for them. And that's what we're talking about. So if you have a course, if you're an expert or a coach, something like that, and you have an old course that you're not focusing on anymore, you can take your old courses and just give it the opportunity to other people to go out and sell them for them. The good side of it is that you don't have to do much of the work. There's basically, you just hand it to them and you let them run with it. The downside of it is, if you want to call it one, is that you generally give away more of the profits that way. In affiliate side, with an affiliate deal, it's probably going to be a 50-50 split, which is really common in most info products. In a licensing deal, you're probably going to give away, and this is totally negotiable, but probably 70, 80. I do deals where I like to give away 90%, because that means I'm not involved at all. I say, here's the asset, here's all the marketing that we have for it, go out and sell it, and I'll just take the customers, because I'll handle the fulfillment. But other than that, I let them do everything. So I'm happy to give them 90%, because then I am like that musician. I just did it once, and everyone else is out there selling it for me, and I don't have to mess with it. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. When we look at the idea of the affiliate is saying that I'm still in control. I'm the person who's still actively engaged. I'm selling and fulfilling adjacent to the person who is running it. The person who's licensed, this is a wonderful opportunity for somebody who has a huge inventory of things that they've built. But maybe they've sunsetted some of these courses. But just like bell bottoms, sometimes things come back. And they're looking at it saying that what, maybe it's on vogue to have this out right now, or maybe somebody can find, as your one of your books in the back says, they can find a different spin on things, so they can approach the market with a different way to see success. And by giving away, and it's interesting when you say give away the net profit. I think they're giving away the gross profit because they're not looking at the cost of sales. And because if they have a
Right.
sales
Yeah.
force, they're going to have inherent costs. They're just absorbing themselves rather than having somebody else take on that risk. So I think the idea of saying, yeah, I'm going to give away 90%, but they're going to do 90% of the work, amazing. That's a great deal.
And another big difference is on the same note as what you're talking. If you're going to have an affiliate, that's generally going to be on one promotion, right? They might promote once on or one email campaign for a week or something like that. A licensee is going to be a much more long term. They're looking to solve a problem that their audience has that they just haven't created their own solution for. So that tends to be another big defining difference, is that if it's a affiliate relationship, it's probably a promotion to make some money and then move on. A licensing situation, you're looking to solve a problem and it's going to be a longer term kind of relationship.
Now, do you find that when people set up licensing, I think back to the days that when I was in the CRM space early on, I mean, obviously still in it, but not
Mm-hmm.
early on. Back in 1997, we were setting up relationships with companies that they would offer other adjacent products. So they might be doing some sort of coaching, or they might be doing some sort of consulting, and our product dovetailed into their offer. So we would license them as what we would call a value added reseller. And so they would take on the whole relationship journey with the client, and we would just be part and parcel of that whole offer. Do you see that happening on the affiliate or the licensing side, or both?
No, yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the better ways to do it, in my opinion. You'll have, say a newsletter with a specific focus, right? They may do affiliate promotions that makes them money, and that's great. If I was a newsletter owner and I had a specific topic, I would really be looking into licensing arrangements, because you're going to be talking about the same thing for a long time. You're probably going to be promoting the same things for a long time. So it just makes sense from that angle that you're going to want to get a larger percent of the profits for it, and let the licensor just sit back and take a smaller percent. So yeah, that is a great way to do it. You see it with software a lot. You'll see it in a lot of personalities. The influencers will often take a position like this, where if they're going to if they're going to sell something for a long time, they'll work out more of a licensing deal as opposed to an affiliate deal.
Yeah, when you look at something like, I don't know, for example, the UFC when they brought on Reebok, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at they set up this long term relationship. Now, obviously, they're not selling it, but there's got to be probably some sort of arrangement that happens behind the scenes. Do you see this kind of thing happening on the Fortune 1000 kind of a scale, or do you see this more happening in the small business scale?
Oh no, yeah, this absolutely happens in the small scale. Like we're talking about a newsletter that's normally a one person, maybe a couple person shop until you get to a couple $1 million, like the hustle. That's the only time where you really pick up a large team. So for coaches working by themselves, consultants that are anyone who, if you're putting out content that's generally going to be in the same market, talking about the same things for a long time, you're going to have the same customers with the same problems. It's makes a lot of sense to have a licensing agreement, so you can just have the one product that you always recommend, as opposed to an affiliate relationship for that.
Now, one of the things to think about is, where do these things go wrong? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure you've heard of horror stories in this space where people are looking at going, man, I'd love to have somebody licensed, or I'd love to set up an affiliate. I'd love to set up these things. And then things go sideways. So what are some of the things that people need to look for so that they don't fall them? Well, first of all, what are those problems? And then how can they catch them before they happen?
That is a great call. So yeah, there's going to be several kind of big pitfalls, but it's very similar to an affiliate situation because it's all about relationship, right? So we're always going to be looking at good communication. We want to have our terms set up out front. We want them to know, like, we expect, what we don't expect. We expect, hey, you can talk about this, but you can't talk about that. we'll have situations where if you're selling a certain level of if you're selling so many of a high ticket offer, then you'll get one commission, or you'll get a certain percentage. If you don't sell that many, there's going to be a lower there's going to be a lower percentage that you would receive. So it's really going to be about communication, right? You want to set your expectations. Hey, and it happens that a lot of people have good intentions, right? They come in and they want to be licensees because they're just going to go out and crush it, but they never do anything. So there's always going to be the 80-20 of that kind of thing. And that is more just a pre-talk, right? That is qualifying people. You're going to be asking them, okay, who do you plan on selling this to? Do you already have an audience in that market? What are you selling now? What price points are you selling now? How much are you selling? All those kind of things are going to help you determine, one, if the partner would be a good licensee, but it'll also give you an idea of maybe what kind of split you should work out. Should you be giving them 70%? Should you be giving them 90%? The way they answer the questions, if they're new, they're probably going to need more hand holding. They're going to come to you with more questions. Whereas they're experienced, they're probably not going to have the questions, and they probably won't need you to help them with their marketing. So for me, someone with experience, I'm happy to give them a higher percentage, a higher split than somebody who's new that's going to need a lot more of my time and attention.
Yeah, I would see that. Now, when you look at the idea of the new person, do you find that
Mm-hmm.
like the success rate happens better with the people who are experienced, or does the success rate happen better with the people that are new, or is it just the process by which you bring them on? It doesn't matter whether they're new or they're experienced. It's just the structure that you use to build that relationship is what's important.
Yeah, I mean, like any business, what is it? Something like 90% of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. I bet it's
Yeah.
99% in the first year. So certainly there is going to be the higher fall off if you're working with brand new people. But if
Mhm.
you're a coach, you've been in this a while, you probably at least know of other coaches who have been around for a while as well, that'll teach something maybe adjacent to what you do, that you complement each other. You two as complementing partners would work probably very well, because they've been around, they know you've been around, and the likelihood that that partnership will work out is significantly higher. So yeah, we always try to stack the deck in our favor. But of course there's always the breakout, right? There's always the new person who comes in, and had you not given them a shot, you would have missed out, and they would have missed
Yeah.
out. So you
Yeah.
gotta kind of take it both ways. But I try to look at the size of the opportunity, the market as a whole, what they're doing, and of course, there's always going to be a little feeling out as far as if they can do it or not. I
Yeah.
tend to err on the side of giving them a chance, because you never know. Like I said, there could be that breakout, and worst case scenario is you have a term limit on your license agreement, right? So if they never do anything with it for 3 months or 6 months or a year, you can just say, hey, this didn't work out. Appreciate you having it, but I don't think we're going to continue on with this following.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just
Yeah.
have a limit as having. I like to think of it as in terms of dates, right? When you first meet someone, you go on a first date. You do something small together. Maybe it is more like a promotion. Then you do a second date that could be a week long or a month long, and then it makes sense to go into a long-term year plus relationship
Yeah.
with a licensee.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And now, do you typically see these things have escalation incentives built in, or is that a normal practice for these kind of things?
The beauty and the curse of licensing is that it is whatever deal you can make. So it certainly does happen. It's normally on case by case. I wouldn't say it's super common, but it absolutely can. It's just whatever you agree to, whatever. I like to go into almost all deals if I decide that they sound like a good partner, that they're going to be able to drive some volume and have experience, have made some sales. I'm just going to go to them and say, hey, what's going to make this dreamy for you? And let them tell me. I'll let them tell me how much of a split they want. I'll let them tell me what kind of terms they want. And now, of course, we'll work back and forth to adjust if need be. But I wanna build a deal with them. I want to make it such a good deal for them that they would absolutely be crazy not to do it. So yeah, I will absolutely give them the kind of terms they want. If they if it makes sense, and give them bonus structures if they need it. But yeah, I mean, when we're, like I said, we're talking about deals that on a $2,000 product, they get to keep 90% of it. That is a ton of revenue for them and margin, because they don't have to do any of the delivery, so it's pretty much all margin. They're already getting a great deal. It would certainly be case by case if there was something that needed to be worked in after that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like something that happens just in the space of coaches or software companies or things like that, but I'm running through my mind and I'm thinking, well, this is not so dissimilar from the real estate space. I mean, you've got the broker, and the broker's got the brand, and then the broker licensed through, because obviously the agent has to have their license with somebody. The agent does most of the work and generally gets paid the lion's share of the
Mm-hmm.
deal, unless the deal's been fed by somebody else, and depending on those relationships, and so the brokerage really is just licensing out to those agents, and they're a license holder. And so it's very
Yeah,
similar to what you're saying in the way that they're structured.
that's probably even why it's called property, right? Intellectual property, real estate property. Yeah, I bet that's probably why it has property in the name, because they are very, very
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah, they're
I just
definitely
don't have to
similar.
deal with the toilets, termites, or tenants.
The three T's. I'm going to steal that from you. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Toilets,
it. Wasn't. I didn't think of
termites,
it.
and
I'm not that
tenants.
great, but yeah, yeah, I like that. That was, yeah,
What are some of the fun deals that you look back and you think, man, these were such great arrangements where they were just wildly successful?
sure.
From a perspective where people are like, man, this blew out the doors for everybody's belief.
Yeah, one that comes to mind right away is a situation with a Fit Pro and a supplement company. So the supplement company was already doing like 1,000 sales a week of their supplements. I think it was like a protein muscle building kind of supplement, and they were doing well. And as far as physical products go, supplements have good margin, but compared to an information product, the margins are pretty slim. And you got a lot of overhead with the physical storage, with employees and shipping and all that kind of stuff. So as far as the supplement goes, they were doing well. But what worked out really well for them was when they teamed up with this Fit Pro. So the Fit Pro just had a course on exercising effectively, and the two of them got together and created kind of a bundle. So a customer could not only get this muscle building supplement, they also now had a plan to use the building supplement, which one, they could increase the price. So the offer went from $99 to, I think what they did was, there was two options. You could either get there was the pay in full price, which was something $4.99 to $6.99, or they had a payment plan that was 10 payments of $99. So it was a little more expensive on the payment plan, but it was the same price as the supplement was normally. So those additional payments afterwards are just money in the bank. But the interesting part is, of course, they sold more because of the bundle, because people were getting a better value. But the supplement itself sold better because they had incentive to use it. Learning how to use it with the information product, the consumption of the physical product became higher. So people started using the supplement more. They reordered more because they were actually doing this thing, right? They were doing this set of workouts. So that one, it reminds me, was, yeah, a huge success. And that's not something that I see nearly enough. You don't see many physical products adding an information component, and they really should, just because the margins are so good on information products. It makes sense to add it to a physical product whenever possible, in my opinion, to really just blow it up.
Yeah, I think of when you mentioned that, I think of Simon Sinek and Start with Why. And the idea of what you just did there is you link the what to the how or the why. And so
Right.
instead of them just buying the what, which is the physical product, they've got the how and they've got the why built in on the intellectual, the training, the ideology, the mindset, all that stuff that comes with it. So they were able to connect to their higher value model and probably see better success as the consumer because they've done that
Absolutely.
connection on their value chain. And I think that's something that probably is what drove that success, I would think. I mean, obviously profit is beautiful, but client success,
Right.
that's something that's inherent to that model.
Absolutely. And one thing I forgot to mention is this was a big benefit to the Fit Pro as well, right? So because the Fit Pro had his product digitally, it was on a Kajabi or something like that. All everyone who bought the supplement, who bought this bundle, he got those customers because he had to deliver the information course. So now he got buyers that cost him nothing. He didn't have to do any marketing. The supplement company was doing all the marketing. So he got all the buyers, and these buyers already trusted him because they bought this package from a company they knew. And I don't know his numbers, but I'd be willing to bet his back end coaching type offers did very, very well. And because his cost, because I mean, again, his cost to acquire a customer was basically nothing.
Yeah, well, that's where, I mean, when you look at again that idea that you're making less net profit, you're probably making more in these arrangements because
Oh yeah.
you're doing a cost split on the cost to acquire the customer, and
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is you're gaining more wallet share with that client because you have other products to be part of it, and I'm sure that the supplement company might have had supplement A, B, and C, of which they can offer. And the Fitness Pro probably had course A, course B, course C. So when they're doing their follow up and they're doing for the second sale, the third sale, the fourth sale, those are your big profitable sales, they've got
Mm-hmm.
all this other stuff that they can offer because they have more stuff on the shelf.
It'd be silly if they didn't do that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know if they
amazing.
did or not, but if they didn't, that was a big miss on their
That's a
part. But
missed
yeah,
opportunity.
there's
So
all kinds of those kind of things.
where does somebody like you come into the mix? Because we're talking about making these relationships. What would somebody go to Royalty Rockstars for on that? Like I can see all this stuff coming together, but why you? And why would they have somebody to
Yeah,
do
so
this?
sure. And I may or may not be a good fit for anyone listening. I tend to work with experts, some coaches. But yeah, there's all kinds of worlds, and I primarily stay in the kind of business to business world. But yeah, there's all kinds of products that could be out there that I might not be a fit for. But it's really a matter of energy, time. If you want to spend your resources to set up those kind of deals. So another licensing agent is probably the name of what you would call me. But yeah, you want to use that because you don't want to do it yourself, right? Because you're a busy coach or expert, you have clients, you've already got marketing that you're working on. Do you need to add to your plate going out to sell your licensing options? And a lot of people might decide not to. And that's the case that a licensing agent like myself might come in. And then that is, I'm gonna guess probably the next question is what do I make on those kind of things? So it of course is completely negotiable, but it can go a lot of different ways. If you're doing a deal where, say it's let's just keep the numbers easy. If it's $1,000 product and we're giving the licensee 90%, they're taking $900. I would probably, if I'm doing the work and setting up these relationships, I'm probably splitting that other 10% with the licensor, the person who created the product. So again, the licensor is doing basically nothing, right? They already created this course. It's sitting around not doing anything. I'm effectively bringing them royalties for what they had created in the past. So I think of it as found money for most part, in which case it's normally makes sense to compensate the person who's going out and doing the work to find the partners for you. So yeah, well, if we give 70%, 80%, 90% to the licensee, then I'll generally split the other percent, the smaller percent, with the licensor. And then of course there's always deals like if it's a leads deal, maybe the leads go on to their list and my list, which is perfectly legal in the U.S. as long as that's disclosed. It's different in Europe and all kinds of stuff with their GDPR laws and whatnot. So I don't mess with that. But in the U.S., yeah, you could if you're doing leads, you can put the leads on multiple lists as long as they know it and understand it ahead of time, and then you've created yourself a new asset that you could then sell whatever you want to sell to as well. So there's an infinite number of ways you could do this. Those are some of the big ones.
Interesting. Yeah, and when you look at there could be so many relationships and licensing set up. How much
Mm-hmm.
of your time is spent saying, is this actually going to work? In other words, you're going to go through all that process, you're going to set all these things up, and then what's the chance? What's the percentage of them actually hit the mark and perform, and everybody's making money versus, man, that was a whole big waste of everybody's time.
Yeah, so that'll be depending a lot, I should say, on the selection at the beginning, right? Are you working with a product that hasn't been sold before? I personally only want to work with products that were already winners, that they've probably already
Yeah,
had affiliates and that they already sold a lot of this product. We already have the marketing down, we have the market down, we know who the customer is. Then it's pretty simple to figure out who would be who would be a good partner for that. So yeah, I generally don't want to work with a product that hasn't already sold well. And even sometimes then you occasionally lose. It's I think of it as flipping a coin, right? So if you flip a coin and it comes up heads, you make $1,000. But if you flip it and it comes up tails, you lose $100. You flip the coin, you lose $100. You flip the coin, you lose $100. But then you flip it again and you make $1,000. You just keep flipping that as many times as you can. So that's the long way of saying there is certainly winners and losers. You just kind of try to cut the losers early, and you go on to find another winner. So it does happen, but you just try to
well, I
try to
mean, the
focus on the
VC
wins.
space, yeah, the VC space is much like that as
Right.
well. They're going to go out and they're going to
Exactly.
throw a few $100,000 in hundreds of companies in hopes that they find that one company that makes them hundreds of millions. And so
Right. Yeah.
it's like almost like the roulette table.
There you go. Or baseball. There's lots of singles. You really want that home run, but sometimes you strike out as well.
Oh, I'd take a single all day, every day. I think there was a movie about that, wasn't it?
Yep. There you go.
That's awesome. Now, if there's one thing that I haven't asked about it in this space, what's the one thing we haven't covered that people really need to understand about the licensing and the affiliate space?
That's a good question. A big thing that a lot of people don't look at is, I like to think of it as how Lego got started. Lego, when they started, I don't know if you know the story, for the first 20, 30 years of the company, they just sold bricks, right? They just they just said, here's our bricks, build whatever you want. They did okay. They did fine. I mean, they did it in what would be today a couple $1,000,000, something like that. But in today's money, now they're making it's in the billions or hundreds of millions at least. I think it's 700 or 800 million, $100 million a year that they make. And that really started taking off when they started going from here's our bricks to here's how to build a car, here's how to build a castle, here's how to build a mansion. And of course, when you added licensing as far as DC and Marvel, those things really took off. So especially, it happens somewhat with coaches, not as much, but it happens a lot with SaaS companies. They will say, here's our SaaS, here's all the things it does, use it however you want. That's great, but it would sell a whole lot better if, say, an expert or a coach who did a specific thing. Just to make this more clear, let's say the SaaS is a cold outbound email service that sends out emails. Great. The SaaS company it would make a lot of sense for them to work with a coach or an expert who teaches agencies how to go out and get clients, right? A lot of those go out and find clients by doing cold email. Like it or don't, love it or hate it, that's how a lot of them find their clients. So if that SaaS company worked with this expert who teaches how to do the cold outbound, that is a great front end product. So the SaaS company would go to the expert and say, hey, we want to license your product. Then they can figure out a deal to do that. They'll, maybe the expert is happy with the leads, which is always a great deal. Maybe they want a little bit of something, so they keep 10, 20%. The SaaS company now takes over the marketing for this info product, keeps most of the money, and uses that at their front end. So they get people coming in who want to learn how to send emails, which is their target demographic. And after they buy that front end course, they can then upsell them right into the SaaS. So yeah, they don't. A lot of companies don't take advantage of working with other people to get in front of different markets, because that SaaS might work with freelancers. It might work with agencies. There might be 20 different types of audiences or different markets that use cold email. We got a thing where we use it with hot leads, and that's a whole different market that most people don't, that isn't talked about. So there's lots of different ways, and even a coaching offer, right? You teach people mindset stuff. Well, there's going to be different doors that you come into the mindset world. You're trying to do different things that you need help with your mindset on. So there's lots of different avenues that you could add somebody else's course to lead into your course with.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think the idea of, again, it's just one of those things where you're sharing that cost of the acquisition. So somebody's basically getting that client acquisition for free. And
Yeah,
having
exactly.
that one that is just, it just really falls in suit. I think that's huge. And I think the idea of having something where it's an already running machine that you're just putting that into it, and where you're saying, like, if the product's already successful one way or the other, and this is going to be just something that's adjacent that just dovetails in beautifully, what a great situation for everybody. It's great for the client because the client's getting just the next value stack within the process, because they're going to look for it somewhere else anyways. And so because you're
Yep.
you're putting that into the value stack, it's right there. It's convenient for the client. It's great for the vendor who's doing all the work, because all that money that they're spending, they're getting more value out of that. And the last person who's not doing the work but did the licensing, I think that person there is getting that inertia that they might not have got from doing it themselves. I think there's so many businesses out there that I can think of right now where they're, the owner's like 40 or 50 years, maybe they've been a coach for that long, they have all these programs that they're just starting to sunset because they're just getting ready to retire, when they don't realize that that right there is their retirement, because somebody else
Hmm.
can take that on into their ecosystem and really blow it up.
Absolutely. I think of it as kind of a mindset change into from being a creator standpoint to a producer or an investor. Like, what is they're obviously important, a movie producer, right? But what does a movie producer really do? Their names are on the front of the credits, right next to the famous actors. But it's hard to most people don't know what they do. They don't act, they don't direct, they don't write the script or anything like that. All the producer does is goes out and finds those things and puts the pieces together. They go out and find the script. Then they find the actor and they find the director and they find the money. And that's where they create their value, is they put everything together. So to your point, that somebody has a catalog of courses that they've created over their career and they're ready to retire, yeah, you could simply go from creating new things to switching to a producer mindset and going and putting these things in other people's flows, in other people's distribution. So you can continually take a royalty from it while they sell it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's and so what you're saying basically is you are a licensing producer.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, James, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you about affiliates, about setting up licensing. It's opened my eyes to so many opportunities that I'm thinking right now that I'm like, man, I need to jump on that opportunity. And I know a lot of
There
people
you
are
go.
thinking the same thing. And what they need to do is to reach out to you at royaltyrockstars.com, because if it's a great fit, it's a great fit. If not, it's a great conversation. And I know you're a person who's just got a wealth of information. And I truly appreciate everything you brought to the show today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here. Yeah. So, any coaches or experts who have courses that they're not really doing anything with, definitely come over to royaltyrockstars.com, join the community. There will be people in there who want to put it in their own flows because they're selling stuff. And there's also a whole bunch of people who, like me, will go out there and sell it for you. So, yeah, join the community, royaltyrockstars.com, and hopefully we'll find some partners for you to work with. Again, thanks so much for having me here, man. Appreciate it.
James, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. And thank you guys. It's the Money, the Mindset, the Mentoring podcast. And we'll see you on the next one.